What first date behavior is a deal breaker? I think when they don't even ask you about yourself. Maybe that sounds weird. But I had a date that would be constantly talking about her life and friends and whatnot. I would ask her questions too, but she never once asked me about anything. Possessive behavior. If this is how you act with someone you've just met, how would a relationship with you be? Edit. Wow, thanks for the awards. I didn't realize how many people could relate to this. Stay excellent, Redditors. Having it be only about them irks me. They'll answer your questions with long stories about themselves and rarely ask anything in return. If they do, you'll get about one sentence in and they'll interrupt you with another one of their stories. They somehow always feel like the date went great and they had a great time, and are surprised you are not equally as excited. Semicolon. Also, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I hate overly sappy romantic gestures. Like insisting on holding your hands over the table whilst looking into your eyes for extended periods of time. When you try and get your hands back, talk about something else or break eye contact, they get offended and just try again, grabbing at your hands and pulling you back. As if he's trying to hypnotize you and you're not cooperating. Immediately starting with the I love you attitude. Had a girl tell me she thought she loved me about halfway through our first date once. I brushed it off as flirty banter, then toward the end of our meal she says, "You know how I know you love me?" They won't stop talking about their ex. Showing up late and not texting ahead of time. You're not playing it cool if you're 20 minutes late without saying anything. Once, I was talking to this girl online, and things were going pretty well. So we decided to go for dinner. I showed up to the place 5 minutes early. So I waited. And kept waiting. Texted her 15 minutes after we were scheduled to meet. But didn't get a response. Waited for another 45 minutes, then left. She messaged me later saying that she wasn't there because she lives in Indonesia. I live in New Jersey. Forgetting to take off your wedding ring. Finding out that the reason why they asked you out is because they wanted to make their ex jealous. To make it worse, she had her friend invite the ex-boyfriend as well. Taking me to a multi-level marketing seminar. Actually happened. Texting their ex. Introducing me to your boyfriend. I didn't know this until recently. Picking wax out of your ears and sprinkling it around. Don't. Just don't. Okay. What am I supposed to season my dinner with? Smelly. Greasy hair. And no effort in appearance. If the first date isn't important enough for you to even shower. Showed up late getting all done up, told via text, but was in a ratty hoodie. And her clothes smelled musty. Super shy. Quiet. Barely spoke. Even when asked innocuous questions. Until the movie started. Then she wouldn't shut the up. Kept staring at me. And asking the dumbest questions like, how do you get so tall? Comma. Do you like movies? So. Yeah, that sounds like someone who popped something that took a little while to kick in. Damn. Starting the date by saying that you've cleared your entire weekend. Just in case this date works out and I'm free. No pressure. Making me do all the work. Conversation wise. I don't mind being the lead driver, but you need to at least pull your own weight. I've been on some dates that felt more like interviews. Ordering your food to go and quietly watching me eat while you wait to leave. When we plan an actual date where we meet up somewhere. And at the last minute they bail. But. Wait. They're still free. All you have to do is go to their house. Bitch. No. So. Basically manipulation. If you manipulate me just once, I'm done. A guy where I worked was hitting on a girl on the lunch truck for over a month. She fillily said she would go out with him. So for the first date he took her to a XXXPRN show. Apparently she excused herself to go to the bathroom after a few minutes and never came back. I felt so sorry for her. I would have been scared out of my mind to be with someone that off. If he comes to pick you up and pees in your driveway before you'll leave. Too handsy right out the gate. You're still basically a stranger. I need to get to know you first. Once I told a guy he had something in his teeth and he flossed with his long hair. Improvise. Adapt. Overcome. Asking me to suck his dick before even having a real conversation. This actually happened. To this day. I still don't know how to say his name or where is he from. Edit. Wow, didn't expect this. TBH, I don't mind having sex on the first date or even a one night stand. But I don't think the first 3 sentences should be hi, how you doing, can you suck my dick. If you have someone that will do that, good for you. But I rather go spend my night with friends. Or even watch Netflix alone. Showing up absolutely hammered and passing out within an hour. Constantly being on your cell phone. Seriously. Man. That's so uncool. When I ask someone out on a date, especially a first date, I expect that I will pay for the date. If it's a restaurant, I don't make a big deal about me paying, and I don't care if she makes any offer to pay or not. It's okay if I pay. Or she pays. Or we split. But I'll assume I'm paying and at least sincerely try if she's okay with it. But it is a deal breaker when I think she's assumed I will be paying and orders extra expensive stuff because she thinks it will be free to her. My buddy went on a date. And the woman ordered 2 entrees. So she could take one home for later. Brazen about it. Keeping talking about herself and the same subject. Evening. Went on a blind date once and this girl kept talking about a single trip she made 5 months prior and her damn bunny. It's all cute and stuff, but when I tried to say something about my pets or travel experience, it would always go back to her. Also, when I tried to steer the conversation away from anything but those 2 subjects, she'd return after 4 minutes somehow. Big turn off. Going on a dinner, or lunch, breakfast, etc. date and ordering nothing because you ate before you came or aren't hungry. It's incredibly awkward to be the person on the other side of that, since you showed up hungry and now you're supposed to just eat in front of the other person. Like, that's not weird. On my first date with a guy, he proceeded to tell me he'd had sex with 16 women and I could be lucky number 17. And then told me he generously rated me a 6/10. Solid move, dude. Solid move. Edit. OMG, I just remembered he also told me literally while we were still hanging out that he just had some other girl earlier that day. Like, wow, is that supposed to be a good thing? This wasn't a first date, as she had told me she just wanted to be friends after that. But we did one friend date after. And this basically killed it. Let's go to Chick-fil-A. Orders something for herself and then asks me if I want anything. Yeah, I'll just have a shake. We get to window and she turns to me, I'm kinda broke and don't have that much on me, can you pay? I would be fine with it if she had just asked me before if I minded buying her something. But to phrase it like she was the one paying and then switching it up on me? I'm just being used. Edit. Why is my most upvoted comment the one where I look like a beta male? I mean, I am. But still. To the server. Go to cancel that sandwich. It will be just the shake. Thanks. Well, on one first date I had, the dude told me he used to be in a gang and killed 6 people. Drove us into oncoming traffic. Told me that there were 3 loaded guns in the car. This ride lasted at least 45 minutes there and back. And told me he was bipolar and was not taking any medication for it. Apparently some women can have profoundly poor hygiene, and also apparently there are smells that I am unable to power through. I wouldn't even judge a little body odor if it was just that. I mean, she could be nervous or just forgot the deodorant or something if that were the case. But I'm talking a foul miasma that lingered in my car for a couple days. Somewhere between horse girl and smash player. She also didn't wear underwear because of it being too much of a hassle. I went on a date once with a guy who seemed lovely, funny, interesting and charming. We had dinner and ordered a bottle of wine. About 45 minutes in I went to pour my second small glass of the evening. He picked up my glass, downed it in one and said, "1 glass is enough for a woman. I need you sober for what I'm going to do to you later." There was not a second date. Passing out in their own vomit. Assuming they are going to have sex with me before I've made it clear. McDonald's. Jesus. You might want to look at your screening process. Stealing my car. Crossing a simple boundary I placed. Had a first date where a guy held my hand while I was driving and I said I'm not really much of a hand holder and put my hand back on the wheel. He took my hand back and said, "Thank you for your sacrifice." This dance went on for the rest of the date. This guy also lifted his sweatshirt to reveal a t-shirt that had Jesus on it, which said "I never said that," and asked what I thought of his shirt. Felt like a weird test. Rudeness to anyone. They're supposed to be on their best behavior at this time. So it's a major red flag if they're not trying to be. Showing up to the date late on cocaine. Broke. And hoping I'll buy them liquor. Then expecting I'll be cool hanging at her place with her and her boyfriend because he is pretty chill. That is how my last date went. Edit. Holy, that blew up while I was sleeping. To TLDR, my area was under lockdown. So I'd been really lonely. I live by myself. I set up a socially distant coffee date downtown with a girl who seemed much nicer on the web. But IRL she was really sketchy and clearly she had spent the lockdown doing all the drugs. It was a new low for me. One-sided conversation. Aka myself driving the conversation constantly and them putting in zero effort or giving one-worded replies, always on their phone reeking of ciggies, drugs, talking about their ex all the time, making zero efforts to even be interested, being more than 30 minutes late without notifying me. Telling me she has to be home by 10:00 because she has another date. Yep. It happened. Thanks, Alice. If he's driving really fast on purpose. Once in the restaurant, obviously rude to waiter. And afterwards if he tries anything super sexual, I've had dude pull their dick outs. Literally. Being the only girl on the cross-country team for 3 years. Being sexually teased was just a thing. Due to having my biker father's no BS attitude. I got real good at automatically slapping any dick that came out hard. Only took a couple time per word to get out and the boys stopped that joke. I bet if someone pulled it out in front of me now and I wasn't wanting it, I'd still reflexively smack it hard enough to end the date in the air. Talking about their junk. You'd be surprised how many seemingly normal men do this. Finding out that your date is on probation for domestic violence against the girl they dated before you. Please don't bring your dad with you. Made plans to see a movie with this girl a while back. Apparently when she told her dad she was going to the movies, he decided he was going with her. He asked if I still wanted to go. No. I do not want to go on a date with you and your father. The only Tinder date I have ever been on. Things were fine until I noticed that the tops of her feet were tattooed with portraits of John Wayne Gacy and Charles Manson. Across her toes were the words "Party Dudes." When I asked her what was up with that, she said, "I just think they were really intelligent. Misunderstood guys." Completely different beliefs and politics. I've had multiple guys bring me a Bible and segue into asking me to dinner to teach me about the Lord. Rudeness. Patronizing behavior. Arrogance. Any comment that suggests they're insecure about themselves, i.e. a criticism of something that's clearly projection. I bet you got your job by batting your eyelashes. I've been trying to get into X job for ages and it's too hard at or anything that tries to or succeeds in making me second guess myself, my instincts. I once asked a first date to leave and let me eat in peace because he started lecturing me on not eating a burger if I wanted to look like my skinny like a 12-year-old boy sister. Lacking respect for servers and other working people. Talking about an ex. Or only talking about themselves and not expressing any interest in me. Sometimes I think guys think a date is a time to brag about how smart you are or how great you are. Just be relaxed. When in doubt, ask her about herself. And be a good listener. Hopefully she will do the same. If they spend the whole time looking bored and disinterested, at least pretend you're having fun. Or tell me you want to go home. Don't make me sit here uncomfortably for 2 hours and give me one-word answers constantly. Talking about all the conspiracy theories they believe in. No. Chaz. It isn't a commonly held belief that all of the US presidents descended from the same bloodline. Edit for all the people arguing that this was fun trivia. Broski actually believed that all the presidents were in league together to ensure that the presidential bloodline stayed pure. This wasn't a case of spicy conversation and wasn't the only conspiracy theory. I promise you. For me, it has to be being rude to servers hostesses. I had to apologize once while a date went to the bathroom. I was mortified and appalled with that behavior. Servers aren't my slaves and they certainly aren't below me. Not a very big deal. But I pay a lot of attention to this one. Most common topic on first dates is hobbies, interests and tastes. Many dates will quickly backpedal and change their mind if I disagree on something. It can be about music, food, place, etc. If you said that you liked it, then don't change your mind after I say that I don't. Shows insecurity and it comes off as disingenuous. We are allowed to be different. Criticism is a big no for me on a first date. I can take criticism, it's just that first dates should be about getting to know someone, not judging them. I say this because my ex was very critical of everything I would do, whether it be the kind of music I listened to or that I wore a hat most of the time, and she didn't like it. Being petty about the $5 you spent on me even though I didn't ask you to. Skipping past the get to know you conversations and going straight to get in your pants suggestions. I hate that. I'm more than my ass. Thank you very much. Dressing like a slob and if they smell like they haven't showered in a week. I've dated tradies who can clean up within an hour after work to arrive on a date. So there's no reason why MR. Math teacher can't lift a finger on a weekend. Okay, this thread is a lot of stories, so I'll jump in. What she presented online. 20. Single. Looking for relationship. Who I met on the first date. 17. Comma. With an out-of-town boyfriend. Looking for someone to buy them alcohol. I bought her a plate of pancakes and took her home to her parents. Showing you a pic he took from a crime scene he had responded to. Firefighter. Not only are you not supposed to take pictures for personal use, it's not exactly something you want to see over appetizers. Not the same guy. But getting arrested after running a red light on the way to the restaurant. With me in the car. Open warrants are a bitch. Telling me they really truly care about me. I'm sure guys may think it's sweet and nice, but dude. You don't even know me. We've exchanged a few stories and jokes. Narcissism. Telling me their IQ, always suspiciously high. I've had a few guys do this and it's never boded well. It's an immediate deal breaker now. Gru's first date and Despicable Me 2. The woman made suggestions about his accent under the pretense that it was all for his good. Rude and inconsiderate. Correcting people on your first date? Def deal breaker. Pooping on the street. I picked this girl up I had been talking to for a few weeks that I matched with on Tinder. She was actually great. A lot of nights voice chatting and laughing. So we finally set a date. I pick her up. We go to the restaurant. We get to the restaurant. She tells me she popped LSD before I picked her up. General assault and murder and stuff. Frowned upon. Rudeness. My best friend was out walking around town with a girl. First date. Suddenly. He had to. He struggled to make it to the movie theater down the street. As he approached, he was waddling from clenching his cheeks so hard. He stepped up onto the curb from the street and his sphincter relaxed just long enough for a bit of to come out. Him. Being him. Figured that since he just his pants, he may as well his pants. He went full flow. Straight up filled his pants then and there. He walked into the movie theater bathroom. Took his underwear off. Threw it out. Wiped his ass and surrounding areas the best he could. And left. Date over. No second date. My man just straight up his pants on the first date. Bet he still thinks about that one when he's trying to fall asleep. Being rude to a waitress. Cab driver. Homeless person. Their roommate. Whoever. Don't be rude. Being racist. Mansplaining a subject that I have a graduate degree in. Talking incessantly about themselves. I'm a kid and have never been on a date, but isn't that the point? They talk about them. You talk about you. And that's how you get to know each other. No? We went to a movie. Had a small dinner after. He paid. Less than a $20. For both of us. Took a drive. Saw some of the town's highlights. Agreed to stop and look at the stars. After 10 minutes he was trying to put his hands down my pants. I was like, I just met you, so he was cool. And he drove me straight home and was like, later bitch. Why put all that effort into getting laid? I really thought we had a nice time. I had no clue he was being fake. I was on my best behavior and I know I'll look nice for the evening. And at no point did he seem like he wasn't enjoying my company. But now thinking back, I should have been straight up and said I am not going to you even after a few dates, and he could have moved on and saved us both the time. Late to the game. But on a first date, I was working nights at the time. And so we did a lunch date. The girl said that she wanted to come back to my place. Score. Comma. And when we got home she went to my bed and said, I just want to take a nap. You can lie next to me but no touching. I just want to sleep. Well. Okay. Sure. I'm not into pressure or anything. But. I had to be at work at 6 PM. She was still asleep at 4:05. I tried to wake her up. She said no. I got ready for work and finally had to drag her out to take her home and was late to work. And she was irritated that she got woken up. Real weird. Don't nap on a first date. She was probably homeless and using the dating service for places to stay. Apparently it's called paratrooping. You were lucky to get her out of your house. Take me to eat food samples in Costco. NGL. That sounds like a perfect third year date. Sounds fun, to be honest. Valentine's Day date with my ex. I went to the bathroom during our dinner and came back to him on his phone on Grindr. Treating service people like trash is a huge red flag. Went out with a guy who was considerably more wealthy than me. Spent the whole day talking about myself and bad-mouthing his ex-wife as well as ex-girlfriends. Also complained about having to pay too much tax and not being able to update his Porsche because it would be viewed as ostentatious by the plebs at work. For me, the worst was when he slagged off his ex-girlfriend. She was a single mother and the reason he broke up with her was because he didn't want to give her hope and viewed being a single parent was like being in a prison sentence. He was so awful I went home and cried. When she scratches her balls. Telling me, someone who is not straight, that they're afraid of gay people. I just show up. Chewing with mouth open or talking with mouth full. Literally grabbing my tits in a public park and saying I'll have great boobs. Defending your use of performance enhancing steroids immediately after saying that you went to rehab and lost your last job and fiance registered signee due to prolific ice meth use. Had a girl eat a small amount of her meal then pour water over the rest so she wouldn't eat it because she didn't want to get fat. That's an indication of a whole other set of issues. Blatant racism. One guy I went on a blind date with made disparaging remarks about black teenagers being the scourge of this country. He was a high school English teacher in an inner city school. So I was quite surprised. How the Indian people in his apartment building stunk up the place. Etc. I pointed out to him that he was on a date with me. an Asian woman. And seemed to have no problem with that. And he said yeah. But Asian people are a good minority. Also if a guy asks, so, what kind of Asian are you? A date showed up an hour late intoxicated bitching about her lawyer fees over 2 DUI charges and then herself at the bar. I took a woman hiking in the Grand Canyon. We hiked to the river on the Tanner Trail. We were both high on acid. Yes, LSD on a first date. She stood up and took her about 3 feet away from where we were sleeping. Then she told me she didn't wipe because if she started touching her asshole she wouldn't be able to stop. How long have you two been married then? You invite her over to play Bionicles but she starts taking her clothes off. A guy I met on Tinder recently mentioned he had a twin sister he hadn't spoken to for years. I asked why and he went on to describe the ways she used to attack him constantly. About how she kicked his balls in front of their mother for fun and was reprimanded and told that if she did that too much he might not be able to have kids when he grew up. How they had a fight and she decided he shouldn't pass on his genes. How she had set out to intentionally cause life-changing damage to his testicles for months on end. I sat there making what I hoped was appropriately compassionate oohs and ouch sounds. Looking down into my long drained cappuccino as he told me a story about his twin teenage sister slamming a baseball bat into his family jewels as he slept. I don't know if any of that was a deal breaker but it was an unusual first date experience I guess.